Hey guys, how you doing? I'm here for a second go around. This time I'm going to cover the Webster division. I'll give you guys an idea where I see our teams finishing in 2014. I'm going to start off with Achilles' heels. That's owned by none other than John Butterfield. As you guys probably know, you know him best really from the BCS. That's what's named after him, the Butterfield Championship Series. And another day I'll go into the story behind that. It just includes Larry Johnson. It's a little too long to talk about right now, and it's off topic. So to get back on topic, his team. Let's talk about his team here. He's benefited from one man forever. Tom Brady has been his quarterback since inception of the league, and there is absolutely very little doubt that that man has carried him through several games, more than once, more than on two hands worth of counting actually. Brady is able to put up a lot of great points very quickly. I would say the last couple of years he's been a little up and down though, for sure. His backup is Tannehill. Tannehill could be on the upswing. A lot of people are calling for him to have a good year. It's kind of a make or break year for him. I do think he takes a slight step up. He's got a lot more weapons for sure, a better system to work under. But we'll have to see. Proof is always in the pudding. So when you look at his two quarterbacks, he's in pretty good shape right there. When I step over to his running backs, Heels running backs, my thought is kind of, it's about the best I can give you. I've got Chris Johnson, C.J. Spiller, and Andre Ellington is sort of the top guys. Chris Johnson's going over to the Jets. The Jets have not been a very prolific team in recent years. They've got kind of a muddled mess at quarterback. Is it going to be Vic? Who's it going to be Geno? They don't really know out there. They've got a lot of new weapons they've added, which is great, but they have a lot of questions too. So Chris Johnson, I don't know that he's necessarily the answer. He may have some good games. I just don't think he's going to be consistent. I don't think he's going to be the old Chris Johnson either, despite the fact that he's running around telling people he can run for 2,000 yards again. Sure, if there's no defense on the field, I bet. C.J. Spiller, he's been showing himself to be a better back, living up a little bit more to his draft pick in recent years. His difficulty is he has to share the field with the return Fred Jackson, and he's running with E.J. Manuel as his quarterback. And, this is not the most promising situation for any of the three involved, but maybe they come together. Maybe C.J. carves out something for himself. We'll see. And then Andre Ellington, he's a bit of a surprise. He played better than I thought he would have in Arizona. Still, although he's played better, I still don't see him as an all-around back carrying the load every day, all the time. And the fact is, he plays in an offense that isn't going to be suited well to him. Palmer throws a lot. We'll have to see. So on the whole, running backs they're okay. They're at par, I would say. When we jump over to the wide receivers, I see Michael Floyd as absolutely the number one. He's a great receiver to have, no doubt about it. He's only going to get better. But then Crabtree, Robert Woods, Boykin I'd throw in there, and then Aldrick Robertson. Those four, any one of them, maybe two of them can pop this year and do something for the Heels. I don't know that all four are going to do that. I think Boykin's going to head back down rather than continue his trend. I think Robert Woods, I mentioned it already, E.J. Manuel, I don't know if he can make him the better receiver. He's got competition out there now with Watkins. And then you've got Crabtree, who a lot of people are pretty happy with. They're saying he's looking pretty good already. But he's been expected to be an upper-level receiver for years now. And when years go by and it doesn't happen, it's very hard to believe it's suddenly going to change. So on the whole, I kind of rate them maybe half a step ahead of the running back situation, but not by much. Witten helps the cause. Witten's been around forever. Witten benefits from the fact that, again, in Dallas, he's got Romo thrown to him, but he doesn't have really any competition either. They keep talking about there being competition. It just really hasn't metastasized, so we'll have to see how that goes for him. I think he holds in. He gives you one more rock-solid year of performance. So the offense on a whole is not half bad. It's not great, though, either. It's not stellar. When I look at your DTs, I see a couple of guys you definitely need some work. Salia and Kevin Williams. Kevin Williams is 33 years old. He's moving to a new team. He's going to probably be a rotational player, not a steady feature in that Seattle defense. So there's work to be done there. The DEs, Tuck and Ninkovich. Tuck moves over actually to my beloved Raiders. I hope he plays like there's no tomorrow. I hope he shows, he plays with a chip in his shoulder and all that other baloney. He may not, though. He's getting older, too. We'll have to see. Ninkovic is your big star for sure. Muhammad Wilkerson, he had a great season. Another solid player there to give you points. I like that you have 2 DEs that you can play with and put one in at least once a week, and that's usually a good recipe for being successful in WHIFFL. When I look at your linebackers, Bowman, stud. Arthur Brown was meant to be a stud. He didn't quite live up to what a lot of people were saying he was supposed to do. Kind of disappointing, and now he's got some competition, it looks like, out in Baltimore as they rebuild the linebacking situation. He probably will perform, I think, about the same, which is fine. I mean, it'll be okay. You've got DeAndre Levy, too. So you got 3 guys there. They're not half bad. They're definitely going to carry the day for your team. Not a lot of depth after that. That's where the concern comes in. Cornerbacks, you only have 4 on the roster. I mean, that's razor thin. And Leotis McKelvin and Brandon Brown are probably your 2 best guys. They're not bad. They're definitely going to have some good weeks. They're going to have some weeks where they kind of miss out on the boat. So you definitely got some work there. On the whole, decent team. Don't know if you're going to take this division, though. If I had to put money on it, I'm not putting my money on you. Sorry about that, John. You always got the BCS to count on, though. Crazies. Do I have to cover this team? Okay, my producer says I have to cover this team. Sorry about that, Matt. All right, you've got Cutler, which is great. Jay Cutler has been good for you. I think he continues to be a good fantasy person. I think this year he's actually going to even put up more points than he has in recent years because they know in Chicago they have to refabricate that entire offensive line. He can only be as good as his line. He can't keep throwing off his back foot. When they fix that lineup, which I think they're going to make a better job of it, he becomes an even better player. Moreno has turned into a nice back for you. He put up great points last year, so that's a good little thing you got going there. Hopefully he keeps that up. Receivers really are your stronger point. You've got Anquan Bolden, who had a great season last year. He should continue in San Francisco as a pretty high target, even though Crabtree's back. I just see him as a consummate professional. He gets open, he knows where to be, and I think quarterbacks love that kind of guy. He's getting the ball. Demaryius Thomas, you have an absolute killer stud receiver there. He's going to continue to benefit from Manning and just playing the way he does. He's a complete beast. That's awesome. Vernon Davis, he's another guy. He can be a beast too. He can also fade. And that's his problem. He's just not consistent enough. He can have weeks, 3-4 weeks in a row. He's great. And he can have the exact same number. Where's this guy? Never heard of him. He's not on the play charts anymore. So he needs to be consistent to be really good for you. Tim Wright, I like. He's a tight end I traded to you. I think he does okay things out in Tampa Bay. I think he becomes more consistent than Vernon Davis. I just don't think he has those big, gargantuan 3-point, 4-point weeks that Vernon Davis could put up at some point. So, on the whole, when I look at that offense, you've got some good pieces there to build around. You definitely need more. You're very thin, and that's an issue. Defensively, you got Don Terry Poe. I remember when you picked him, it was a very early pick in the draft. I kind of was surprised by that. I think others were surprised by that. But he's turned into a great pickup. He's well worth the money that you're paying him. Deion Jordan, who was the guy you picked and lost and you got back at the end of the first round last year. We had the whole problem with the payment of dues. He was supposed to be a stud. He didn't turn out to be that at all. He was a major disappointment. He needs to step way up. He only gave like 6.5 points last year. Not nearly enough for a guy drafted that high. If he can turn it around and he becomes a better player, then the pick is worth it, and you've got something good because DEs are hard to get. Peppers is another guy I traded to you. He had a great second half of the season for you. Does he have one more season left in him? I think he's got part of a good season left in him. He should be okay, good to go. And then you've got Ware, of course. Ware is a beast. He's moving out to Denver, where they've got like 50 guys who can get at the quarterback. As long as they keep him fresh, he'll be good for you too. So I like that DT situation you got going on there. I don't see you needing to build a lot on that as much as your offense. Your linebackers, those are a bit of a mess. You've got Trent Cole and Arakpo. They're another feast or famine type of group of linebackers. They're either going to get those sacks for you or they're not. And when they do, you'll be a happy man. When they don't, you're going to be a sad man. Your cornerbacks, they're not half bad. You got Arrington, Hall, Munnerlyn, and Shields. I really like that foursome, provided they can keep up the way they have been keeping up. Hall is getting older. We'll have to see. but the other three, they look pretty good to go. I think you're going to be happy with how they performed this year. They're going to help that team of yours. And then your safeties, those unfortunately are very woeful. You don't have a good group there at all. No one stands out in that group. A guy or two might step out in that group, but we'll have to see. Right now, I'm thinking not going to happen. Well, you're going to have to keep your eye on that, but you definitely got to draft for that spot. So Crazes, you got a ton of work to do. Unfortunately, your track record on draft day is not very good, so you're going to have to build, I think, through trades or good pickups. That would be my recommendation. Could be third season at the bottom of the pile. So sorry about that, Matty F. Who's left on my list here? Let's go to Juice. Tyler. We had a bump in the road last year with the draft on your end also. I think it was the same situation. Dues were not paid. You missed out on some picks, which hurt your team because had you been there early on for the draft and made the picks that you wanted to make, I'm sure things would be a little bit better. Still, you have Aaron Rodgers. He comes back. That's awesome news for you. You went and paid a mint for Schaub. I get the rationale. You needed a backup because you have Geno Smith, who may or may not be the man. You paid $30 million for Schaub. He's a temporary stopgap. He's a stopgap in Oakland. I do hope he rebounds. You and I both hope he rebounds because we're huge Raider fans. But, right now you're really counting on Rodgers anyway. But between your three-headed monster quarterbacks, I think you're in good shape. Your running backs, it's a different matter. You've got Trent Richardson, which he has been a bust. For what he was drafted and then he was traded for, he has not turned out to be the running back anyone expected him to be. And I thought going to the Colts he'd be even better with that sort of wide open offense. You've got couch throwing, you've got capable receivers, a decent line. That hasn't happened at all. So he has to really show something this year, and it's looking like he won't, which is sad to say, but maybe I'm wrong. You've got Wilson, but he's competing with Jennings out there in New York. I don't know that Jennings is anywhere near as good as he was in Oakland. I think he was a flash in the pan. I really think Oakland ripped open big holes for the guy. He's a straight line runner. He's nothing incredible. If he was, he would have stepped up and taken over the job in Jacksonville much earlier in his career. Anyway, between Wilson and Jennings eating up time, and Wilson being who he is, I think he got a tough go of it. And then Brandon Tate, I think he's out in Cleveland. He may or may not turn into something out there. He's coming back from injury, and Cleveland, they've got a little bit of a mess going on in a running back. So I think you should be drafting a running back this year. That would be my guess. Receivers, you got a decent little bunch. I would call them probably average. Amendola could be something special. If he can stay healthy, he can never seem to do that. Trust me, I know. I have him in WHIFFL too. Ty Hilton, he's been great, and he will probably continue to be a producer for you with Couch at the helm. Rod Streeter, hey, we love him in Oakland, but not consistent, injury-prone type of guy. He needs to show something. And then Wheaton out in Pittsburgh, he definitely has to step up. His rookie season wasn't what was expected of him, not for a guy drafted the way he was drafted, but Pittsburgh has shown, it seems forever, that when they draft a receiver, eventually that guy becomes somebody. So we'll have to see if he becomes somebody, with Douglas and Hartline being, middle-of-the-road type guys, and Hilton and maybe Amendola coming together, and Streeter with his occasional games. You've got a decent to above-average wide receiver group there, but I would probably still be building on that. I like Corey Peters at your DT spot, and your DEs really are rock solid. Lamar Houston, Chandler Jones, and Cameron Jordan. You've got a nice three-headed monster there. It's absolutely ideal for a WHIFFL league to have three DEs. If somebody gets hurt or there's a bye week, you always got one or two you can stick in and pretty much sit back and know they're going to give you points. So that's a good thing. Linebackers, Burfict is probably your top guy. He was a nice little steal for you. You got him a long time ago when the jury was out on him and people considered him a high risk. You took the risk. You got the benefit from that. He's turned into a phenomenal player. Gerald Freeman and Michael Kendricks, those are your next two in line. I would say they're pretty good too. They're in the above average range to touching, really quality linebackers. Between those three, you've got some decent things to put out. But injuries or bye weeks, they hurt you because after that, you only got sort of so-so linebackers to fill in. Your cornerbacks, absolutely killer. I love your group. Banks, Brock, Joe Hayden, Tremaine Johnson, and Ladarius Webb. That's 5 cornerbacks who are going to give you nice points every week. And with our adjustment to scoring, you're going to see even more from that five-headed monster. Good for you. And then your safeties, you've got Graham, Rashad Jones, and William. Those three, again, they're quality. They're all starters. You know, when I look at your team top to bottom, this is a pretty good team. Almost good enough, but not quite, to take this division. Noah Webster doesn't belong to you in 2014 unless, of course, the draft and you trade or you make some good pickups to change that, or your competitors have injuries. I see you as so close. I mean, I almost got it at a coin flip, but ultimately I'm going to give it to Swagger. Sir Patrick, he earned that title in 2012, or at least the season before this, if I'm getting this wrong. And he had a real down year last year. But when I look at his team, I see some really solid pieces to build off of. He's got Rivers. Rivers had a great rebound year last year. He's got Shady McCoy. Everyone loves him. Good runner. He's going to put up the points. Nice quality running back. Nothing else after that, though. Like, as in, no other running back. Needs to build on that. Receivers, Cruz, Cordell Patterson, Hakeem Nicks, and Kembrell Tompkins, with Eifert thrown in there from the TE spot. Cruz is your stud. Patterson's a stud in the making. Hakeem Nicks, disappointing. Hasn't rebounded. Should. Big man, but we don't know what we're going to get this season. And then Kembrell Tompkins, he benefits from being in New England. I don't know that I'm buying that he's a breakthrough type of receiver. Gronkowski comes back. That really muddles things for him. But we'll see. Maybe he steps up in camp and he becomes even better. So your receivers are decent. DT, you got Fairley and Lanford, two really good, solid defensive tackles. You're good there. You've got Robert Quinn, who's incredibly talented as a DE. He's going to keep being that way, especially with the pieces they've added in St. Louis. Actually, his problem might be he doesn't get to the quarterback first. Other guys will, because he'll be double and triple teamed. But we'll have to see. After that, what do you got? You got like nothing. So you need to work on that spot. I see that happening during this draft this year. Your linebackers, you've got three decent pieces: Trevathan, Jackson, and then Darrell Washington. Although Washington needs to step up, he was projected to be a much better, more polished player than he has been. He's had some decent, at least a decent season, but he sort of regressed. I know he's had the injury issue, so you'll have to see what you get out of that. But you're a little thin at that spot. You need to build up there. Cornerbacks, I would probably say they're kind of weak. You've got 10 cornerbacks. So what does that tell us? You're grabbing anything you can and hoping somebody shakes out well for you. I don't know that you got that. Brandon Carr and McCourty, those are your two best guys. And after that, it's kind of a mess. So you're going to have to work in that area. I see that changing over a course for you too. Safeties, real weakness there. You didn't have a single safety put up more than 17 total points for the season. That needs to be addressed. So when I look at your team, I do see some serious issues. But I think you're going to pull it all together. I think you're going to draft well. I think a trade or two is going to happen. And I know you're going to make a pickup somewhere. But I think you got enough stellar high-end pieces to pull off the division this year. So there you go. That is my prediction for Noah Webster. Good luck, guys.